Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we finally have some news on the next update, and it's pretty clear what it should be. So again, I want to emphasize right at the top of the video, this is definitely speculation, but they're giving us clues. They're giving us hints here, okay? The sneak peeks are starting a little earlier than usual. So here we go. The August update preparation event, usually a completely innocuous post that just tells us about stuff that's coming pre-update, like Alliance double donation, where you can get boost points for GBR and stuff. The pre-update event tokens, which used to give us clues, but now are just generic question mark icons with different colors. And again, the colors could literally mean everything or nothing. We do get some decent rewards here, one-time rewards like 50 CCF and 200 karmic crafting cubes and stuff like that. But it's not the relay battle world. It's not the gold bonus mission. It's not the ISO change or the Uru combine event. Or anything like that. It's down here, right at the bottom. This text that doesn't necessarily need to be here, but being here makes all the difference and is the reason for making this video in the first place. The presence of the hammer that has awakened will put fear into our heroes. Please look forward to the August update. Now, if I was just starting my YouTube career on MFF, I would have no idea what this means. If I was a more I'm pretty casual, but if I was a more casual Marvel fan and I didn't read the comics at all, I would have no idea what this means. But the fact that I made that Sin Origins video and the fact that I've made countless videos begging the devs to buff specific characters means that it's pretty easy for me to put 2 and 2 together. If you Google Marvel plus Hammer plus Fear, there's only one result, baby, and it's not MC Hammer. It's fear itself. Hammers and putting fear into heroes is literally the synopsis of fear itself. And I'll give you guys a very, very brief synopsis of what fear itself is. But what I'm basically saying is I think this is the idea behind the next update. Doesn't guarantee, and it doesn't mean, and I'm not saying that we're going to get all of this stuff. And I could definitely be wrong, but a lot of people have jumped to this conclusion as well, and it's really hard to find another option that fits as well as this one, because basically the storyline for Fear itself is this guy in the top left, the Serpent, is Odin's brother, Kull Borson, and he's actually also the Serpent, which is like the god of fear, so sort of like Sinestro from DC, but without the goofy color-based weaknesses. And basically what Serpent does is a hammer falls from the sky and Sin gets it. Well, Red Skull summons it. He can't lift it because he's not worthy. So then Sin lifts it and she becomes Scotty. Boom. That's going to be probably a uniform and an upgrade for Sin, whether it's going to be a tier 3 or a Transcendence. And then Sin releases Serpent, who then summons even more hammers and then transforms these 7 other heroes / villains into his sort of army of the worthy. And then they take their hammers and they hammer the fear of the Serpent and his worthy into the world. And we'll get into a little bit more detail later, but that's literally the synopsis. And then the heroes, of course, have to battle this new fear and the hammer-wielding foes. So, like, hammer, fear, and a bunch of villains, it just fits too well. It fits way too well. So, assuming this is the update, I will now take you through my list, which is a little longer than it should be. We want to temper expectations here at Marvel Future Fight. I'm pretty sure the B team is still on patrol. Sorry that the B team is the punchline of so many jokes, but if you don't want to be the B team, then act like the A team. Basically, step it up. And so yeah, probably not going to get half of what I'm talking about in this video, but hey, dream big. So yeah, you can see here that you have a lot of recognizable characters. We have, of course, Sin already in the game, Juggernaut already in the game, Absorbing Man already in the game, Titania, Hulk, and Thing. So there's actually only potentially a few new characters, and I say new characters tongue-in-cheek because we don't really get those at Marvel Future Fight. Also, by the way, for those of you wondering, Gore is nowhere near. Although this circles around Asgardian lore, Gore is nowhere near this issue. And this mini series. So yeah, I don't know if we're ever getting Gore. I think those data mine people need to go kick rocks. But we do have Atuma, which is a very interesting connection to some future MCU content. And then we have Grey Gargoyle, and I've actually started rewatching Gargoyles on Disney Plus. Great show from the 90s. So anyways, I think pretty much guaranteed, because she's very much the focus of Fear itself, is a uniform for Sin, which would transform her into Scotty, which is, again, a hammer-wielding sort of demigod. I don't know what you want to call it, like semi-Asgardian god. Like, she could easily solo one of the Avengers, right? It would take multiple Avengers to take down a threat like this, given that she's empowered by all this sort of Asgardian magic. And you can see she looks quite different. The only thing that's basically the same is that charred red face that actually looks more like her father, because Sin looks like uncharred normally. But yeah, Scotty is probably one of the biggest guarantees for getting a uniform and an upgrade, which would be excellent. And it's something that I've honestly hoped for years, because she was actually introduced in 2016 with Sharon Rogers. That's like 6 years ago, guys. And so her finally getting something literally 6 years later is bonkers. Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. So yeah, we could be seeing that, but she's not going to be a tier 4 because she's not even tier 3 now or transcended now, so that's not an option. I think the biggest option, the biggest possibility for tier 4 is actually going to be Hulk. A new villain uniform for Hulk, like this. Hulk turns into Null, Breaker of Worlds. So yeah, very, very cool for him. And it's still very recognizable as Hulk, but now he has sort of like Jax's arms from Mortal Kombat, and then he's got the hammer. So yeah, Hulk is probably the front runner, in my opinion, now for tier 4. But there are a couple of other options we'll talk about later. And then we have Juggernaut. Juggernaut becomes Kurth, the Breaker of Stone. Again, he gets his own hammer. Still looks a lot like Juggernaut. Honestly, he looks really cool in this Juggernaut. It's like, it gives me Tron vibes. This one I'm really hoping for. I don't know if we're going to get, but I would really hope for this. You know, it's possible that we're just going to get 3 uniforms. So Sin, Hulk, Juggernaut would be really cool. It's 2 free-to-plays and 1 premium character, right? 1 mutant, 2 non-mutants, 2 combats, and a speed. It's a really nice balance, but this is sort of my core that I'm basically expecting, right? They really need to give Juggernaut a uniform. He's a premium character from 2018 that hasn't seen anything since he was released. So we're talking 4 years here for people who invested in him, and he wasn't even that good when he came out. He was good, but he was very quickly replaced. I mean, a few months later, we got Namor tier 3, who completely obliterated all of the combat types and all of the mutants. So yeah, Juggernaut, Hulk, and Scotty are basically, I think, shoo-ins. Beyond Juggernaut, Sin, and Hulk, it gets a little bit more dicey. So we do have Titania, who gets a uniform and looks amazing, and she's the Breaker of Men, which is, for a lot of people, super hot. Now, the really interesting thing about this update is that there's actually 2 characters that intersect with upcoming MCU content. So we know Titania is going to be in She-Hulk. Well, we know Hulk is going to be in She-Hulk, but we're going to ignore that for now. Titania is going to be in She-Hulk as well. However, the Titania in She-Hulk looks very human and doesn't have this wild purple suit or the sort of like Tronified worthy suit. So I could definitely see Titania getting this uniform instead of getting one for the Disney Plus show, so that they can just focus on She-Hulk for that show, and maybe Daredevil, who knows. But yeah, Titania could get a uniform, could get an upgrade. It would be really nice if Titania got a Transcendence, because her husband, Absorbing Man, also gets a hammer, and oh my god, he looks so effing cool. You gotta be rooting for this one. You gotta be rooting for this one. Absorbing Man looks insanely cool. He looks like a monster out of a Dark Souls game or something. He looks so twisted and menacing. It's amazing, and I would love to see this character model in MFF. So again, I'm aiming kind of high. I'm setting my hopes kind of high, but I'm really hoping to see Absorbing Man and Titania get a Transcendence together. I think that would look super duper cool, and to get these new uniforms based on the Fear Itself storyline. After that, we also have Thing, who also gets a hammer and becomes a villain. Again, Thing is part of the Fantastic Four. He's a hero. But yeah, he also looks really cool, like these weird tentacles with mouths, and he has like this sort of like reverse coloring. It looks really dope. He looks like a lava monster. However, I don't really see them turning Thing into a villain, because it doesn't really fit the rest of the Fantastic Four. I mean, I could see MFF doing it just because they're knuckleheads, they're kind of clobberheads, but it wouldn't really fit with the game, because in all of the content that you would want to use Thing in, that you use him in now because he's transcended, he wouldn't fit as a hero because he would be a villain. Plus, if they're going to give him this uniform, then they might give him tier 4. I don't think anyone wants tier 4 Thing. No offense to Ben Grimm fans, but yeah, so this one I'm not really hoping for in the back of my mind. And then we basically come to new characters. So this is Kull Borson, Odin's brother. Very cool, wields massive weapons. Here he is breaking Captain America's shield in the Fear Itself storyline. He's sort of empowered as people feel more fear around the world. It like gives him energy. It's sort of like Vecna in a way. And so, yeah, he could come as a new character, but MFF new characters, hilarious. So yeah, that would be a really cool native tier 2, tier 3 villain to drop in the game. I think that would be dope. He could sort of be like the antithesis of Odin, but we'll have to see if we do get him as a new character. Then we have Attuma. So this is what Attuma normally looks like, and he's an Atlantean villain. So he's a villain in Namor's world, and that's really interesting. And him getting a hammer is really interesting because you can see here he actually downs Namor. He's like down there because he's definitely going to be, excuse me, in the Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie. If you haven't seen the trailers and stuff, Namor and Atlantis, which is now not Atlantis, it's something else, Teoclan or something like that. Sorry, can't remember the name. But anywho, their home base, whatever, is heavily featured. So this is actually some concept art for Attuma in the movie. So it would be very convenient, and it would make sense from an MCU perspective if we got this Attuma, the worthy Attuma, comics version, and then we got the MCU version as a uniform in November. Again, they could be laying the groundwork, or they could be doing nothing and we could not get Attuma at all, right? It's the MFF way. Then we also have Grey Gargoyle. Now, this is a long shot at best. He's like a D tier villain. Again, a lot of people don't even know that Grey Gargoyle exists. Here's him tussling with the Fantastic Four. He looks cool when he gets the hammer for sure. I like gargoyles. He's not actually a gargoyle though. That's the thing. It's kind of weird, but he can turn people to stone. Anywho, but this one's a very, very, very long shot. And then speaking of long shots, we also have Dracula. So I wanted to mention Dracula at the end before we look at the heroes, because Dracula, although you would consider him to be a villain, he actually helps the heroes in this storyline. And I believe he is more like, he's kind of 50-50. He's not really a villain in the Marvel universe the way that he is in like traditional media, Castlevania stuff, etc. Even in Castlevania, he's not really a villain. Anyways, I don't want to get into that too much, but Dracula. Getting Dracula as a character is as cool as getting No. So I had to mention it. I had to throw his name in the hat. Maybe one day I'll wish upon a star and we'll get Dracula in MFF. I think it'd be dope. And yes, it's basically the same Dracula as you're thinking of from traditional media. So that being said, where are the heroes? Well, I think this is a villain-focused update, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are 0 heroes, 0 hero uniforms, 0 hero tier 3s or tier 4s. Also, it's fun to say 0 hero. However, there are a lot of Uru-empowered, Asgardian-empowered heroes who are used to battle the worthy. However, most of them have recently gotten uniforms, or their uniforms don't look that different. So let's take a look. Hawkeye is basically just Hawkeye with a glowing Tron arrow and bow set. Bow and arrow. He recently got his uniform. Again, I doubt it. Iron Man looks really cool. Don't get me wrong. He's not a villain. He just looks like a really cool hero, but he just got a uniform. For Iron Man to get another uniform would be absurd. Same thing with Black Widow. She's basically just Black Widow in a leather suit that's Tronified with some swords. Again, she looks really cool, but she just got a uniform, so it's very unlikely. Iron Fist is a little bit more likely. He's got this like chain hammer thing, but again, it's just Iron Fist with a weapon. His suit looks the same. Doctor Strange is basically just Doctor Strange with a trench coat and this like wand that looks like something out of Sailor Moon or like Card Captor Sakura. Again, he recently got a uniform. It's very unlikely. The ones that are a little bit more likely but still unlikely include Spider-Man with these like Asgardian web slingers and this blue suit. Looks really cool, but he just got, right, it's like 6 months ago, right? He got a uniform, so it's a bit too early for him. Wolverine also looks amazing. he probably has the coolest uniform because it changes him the most. He's got all these claws coming out of him, blah 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 blah. But again, he got a uniform. He got a uniform that's also like flame themed, like less than a year ago. So again, I would be a bit disappointed if the devs went back to that already. Now it does mean, right, that the presence of these heroes does mean the possibility for tier 4 Spider-Man, or tier 4 Wolverine, or tier 4 Captain Marvel with a giant battle axe. Now Captain Marvel is probably the best option, I would say, given how much of a flop her villain Last Avengers uniform was, and given how I think easy this one would be because it's basically her regular suit plus the battle axe. However, I don't think Captain Marvel is going to get a tier 4. I just don't really see it, but yeah, it's possible. We also have Red She-Hulk, who would then be turned into a hero. She's normally a villain. I don't know if she's a villain in this game, actually. I always forget. But anyways, she looks exactly the same, except she has these like Tronified things on her. And then we have Captain America in the back, who has a crossbow and a gun. I highly doubt Captain America is going to get that uniform, or a tier 4 for that matter. So yeah, I don't really see the heroes getting anything this time around. It just doesn't fit, you know. Like the villains are the focus of this storyline, and they look so cool. So why would you waste it on the heroes, right? The heroes can have their own update, give the villains their own update, and sort of, you know, shift the focus back and forth. But yeah, that's basically it for Fear itself. I didn't cover the literal totality of it because there are more characters and more looks involved, but I covered, I think, the most important parts, right? What are the most important parts? So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of a potential Fear itself update. Are you hype? Are you not? Who do you want to see? Who don't you want to see? Etc. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.